Good afternoon, students. Here today I am going to discuss about ambiguous grammar. This is very important one topic. Here, ambiguity in grammars and the languages. Generally, ambiguous grammar means if any grammar is going to generate more than two derivations tree, more than two derivation trees as multiple derivation trees, then that particular grammar is known as the ambiguous grammar. Then that particular grammar is known as the ambiguous grammar, right? Just wait. Generally, any grammar is consisting of four tuples G equals to VTPS. Any grammar is consisting of four tuples, that is G equals to VTPS, right? G equals to VT, sorry, G equals to VTPS. V means set of variables, right? Variables. T is the set of terminals. P is the production, S is the starting symbol. Here, whenever any grammar is going to be used, these four symbols G equals to VTPS, and it is going to derive multiple number of derivation trees. It is going to derive multiple number of derivation trees. Then that particular grammar is said to be ambiguous grammar. Before we are going to set any grammar is the ambiguous grammar, we must know that particular grammar must be a context free grammar. That particular grammar must be a context free grammar. Already you know that the leftmost derivation and the rightmost derivation, right? See here, in leftmost derivation we are going to deriving this string by replacing the leftmost variable. In rightmost derivation we are going to deriving the variable by using the by replacing the rightmost variable, right? See here, in the same way, if any grammar is consisting of more than one tree, one derivation tree, then that particular grammar is known as the ambiguous grammar, right? Then that particular grammar is known as the ambiguous grammar. See here, check whether the given grammar G with the production rules x tends to x plus x star x is a ambiguous grammar or not, right? In this case here, while you are going to checking this one, that particular in that particular problem they are not going to give this one, right? String. So you have to take any string, and you have to derive the various types. You have to derive different types of derivation tree. For example, here I am going to take my string. Here I am going to take one string. Here my string is here a plus a star a plus a star a. This is my string. Now I am going to deciding this by using this particular string here, whether by using this particular string, if I am going to generate two different types of trees, then I am going to say that this grammar is an ambiguous grammar. Before going to start this one, here this grammar is consisting of how many variables? Here this variables are we are having only one variables, right? How many terminals? Here we are having the terminals A plus star. A plus star. These three terminals are there. What are the productions? Right. What are the productions? Yeah. In these productions we are having x tends to x plus x, or x tends to x star x. Next, x tends to x, or x tends to a. These are all my productions, right? Here by using these productions, we have to generate two different types of derivation trees for the same string. My string is here a plus a star a. Whether I am going to generate any this leftmost derivation or rightmost derivation, whatever it may be, but that particular string is having different types of derivation trees. See here. See here, string is a plus a star a plus a star a. Now, what are my starting x is the starting symbol, so I can start x equals to x plus x, or else we can take x star x, or else we can take this x, right? Here just I am going to take x tends to x. I am going to take x tends to x, right? This x is going to replace by x star x. Here no need to follow the leftmost derivation and no need to follow the rightmost derivation. Just every time we have to concentrate that that particular string doesn't have any that particular string doesn't have this one different types of same derivation trees. That particular string must have the different types of string. Now x tends to, yeah, x star x is there now, so x tends to x star for this x plus x, sorry, x star is there right here. Yeah, x tends to x, string is a plus a star a. So now I am going to use this x tends to x star x. Now x tends to, here x star is there, so I'm going to use the leftmost derivation, x plus x star x. Then x tends to, yeah, this x is going to replace with a in this step. Then this x is going to replace a plus a star a, x. Then x tends to a plus a star a. See here, in this case, first I am going to take this one. Here I am going to use this leftmost derivation, LMD, leftmost derivation, LMD. Right here. Now I am going to draw the derivation tree for this one. Now I am going to draw the derivation tree for this one. First here, derivation tree, derivation tree, derivation tree 1. See here, first x, right? Then again x. Then x is, this x is going to here x tends to x is there, then x is going to replace by x star x. X is x star x, x star x. Then this x is going to replace by, see here, this x is going to replace by x plus x. So this x is going to replace by x plus x. This x is going to replace by x plus x. Now this x is going to replace by a. X is going to replace by this a. Now next this x is going to replace by a. In next step this x is going to replace by this a. Check the terminals. Check the terminals. What are the terminals here? See here. This a, this x, sorry, this plus, then a, then star, then a. All the terminals must be the all the leaf node must be terminal. So a plus a star a. So this is one derivation tree for this string. Now I am going to draw one more derivation tree. Now I am going to draw the one more derivation tree, right? Here for this one. Here for example I am going to here we can take the RMD, or else we can take the LMD, different LMD also. If we are going to take the RMD for this one, then it is very easy for us. Here in this case I am going to take x tends to x plus x. X tends to x plus x. Now here this x tends to x plus, this x is going to replace by x star x. This x is going to replace by this x star x. Now here x tends to x plus this x star a, right? Next x tends to this x plus a star a, right? Now this x is going to replace by this a. X tends to a plus a star a. This is, see, this is the different derivation tree. See, this is the different derivation tree. Now I am going to draw the derivation tree. See here, derivation tree. Derivation tree 2. First x, then x plus x, x plus x. Now this x is going to replace by this x star x. This x is going to replace with x star x, x star x. Now this x is going to replace by this a. X is going to replace by this a. Then this x is going to replace by this a, right? Now this x is going to replace by this a. Now check for the terminals. Check for the terminals. See here, check for the terminals, right? See here, this is a is one terminal, right? This x is one terminal. Sorry, plus plus. This a is one terminal. This star is one terminal. Then this a is one terminal. Now what is my string now? A plus a star a. So see here, check the derivation tree. X is there, then x. This is completely, this is one derivation tree. This is the second derivation tree. This is the first derivation tree. This is the second derivation tree. We are having two different types of derivation trees. Then this grammar is the ambiguous grammar. So we can write here different types of derivation trees are generated. Derivation trees are generated. Therefore, given grammar is an ambiguous grammar. Given grammar is an ambiguous grammar. Given grammar is a ambiguous grammar. Given grammar is a ambiguous grammar. If you are going to generate this one, if you are going to generate two different types of trees, then that particular grammar is a ambiguous grammar. Then that particular grammar is a ambiguous grammar, right? Here, now it is very very important. It is very very important here. If any grammar is going to be ambiguous grammar means, next, if you are going to generate two different types of trees, then that particular grammar is a ambiguous grammar. Now see here, the x plus x here, x plus x here, then a is going to replace with this one here. This is one parse tree, this is one more parse tree. Then the grammar is the ambiguous grammar. If any, here now ambiguous language, if any grammar, if any language L is a CFG and for which there exists an ambiguous grammar, then that particular language is known as the ambiguous language. Then that particular language is known as the ambiguous language. Here ambiguous language means here if any grammar is going, if language L is a CFG, if any grammar is a context free grammar, and that by using that particular grammar, context free grammar, if we are going to generate the ambiguous grammar, then that particular language L is said to be ambiguous language, right? Then unambiguous language. What do you mean by unambiguous language? Is if L is a CFG and for which there exists an unambiguous grammar, then L is said to be an ambiguous language. L is said to be an ambiguous language. In unambiguous language must be unambiguous language means there is no set of different types of derivation tree. Ambiguous language means that particular string is having that particular grammar is having the two different types of derivation trees, right? Next one. This is very, very important. You can take more examples and you have to solve that one. Next one is the closure properties, context free languages closure properties. Here closure properties means here that particular context free language are closed under union, concatenation and knee star operation or star operation, knee closure or star closure. Here these three operations are going to be closed under context free languages are closed under these three operations. First one is the union, second one is the concatenation, third one is the star closure. First one is the union. For example, if L1 and L2 are two context free languages, if L1 and L2 are the two context free languages, then L1 union L2 is also the context free language. If L1 is the context free language, then L2 is the context free language, then L1 and L2 is also the context free language. See here, let L1, for example, one language is there, that particular language is consisting of A power n and B power n, where n greater than 0. Here we are having corresponding grammar. G1 will have production S1 tends to AAA, AAB and AB. Right. Next is L2 is there, C power m, D power m, where m greater than or equals to 0. This is having S2 equals to C, B, B is there. Now these two are the productions are there. Now whenever we are going to perform union of these two languages, L1 union L2, then AN, BN union CM, DM, then the corresponding grammar production must be S tends to, this is the one production, S1 tends to A, B and AB, S2 tends to C, B, B and epsilon. So this particular production must be consisting of S tends to S1 and S2. This S is the starting symbol for union of two languages L1 and L2. Union of these two languages are going to represent by this capital L. Union of these two languages are going to represent by this capital L. Whenever we are going to perform union of these two languages, that particular language must be these two are going to be union, right? Next one, concatenation. If L1 and L2 are the two context free languages, then L1 and L2 is also the context free. Here, see here, whenever we are going to perform any concatenation for the context free languages, if L1 and L2 are the context free language, if L1 and L2 both are the context free languages, then L1 and L2 is also the context free. See, let L1 equals to A power n, B power n, where n greater than 0. Corresponding grammar G1 will have P equals to, here, see here, S1 and AB and AB, same. S2, L2 is there, C power m, D power m, m greater than or equals to 0 is there. Here we are having the production S2 tends to C, B, B and D. Here concatenation of two strings L equals to L1, L2. It is the union of, it is the concatenation of two to A, N, B, N, C, M, D, M. So now production must be S tends to S1, S2. S must be S1 and S2, right? These are the concatenation. See here, union is S1 or S2. Union is S1 or S2. Whereas in this case, here concatenation is S tends to S1 and S2. Now knee star. In this case, if L is a context free language, then L star is also the context free. Here L star is closure of L. Knee star means closure of L. See here. For example, here S tends to A and B and is a corresponding grammar is consisting of this production S tends to A, B and epsilon. Knee star, knee closure is L1 tends to A and B and whole star, right? L1 tends to A and B and whole star. The corresponding grammar G1 will have the additional production is S1 tends to S and S1, S and S1. Then epsilon is there. Just we have to add the epsilon for that particular production, right? These are the three properties which are be closed under context free languages are closed under union, concatenation and knee closure. These are the closure properties of context free language. These are the closure properties of the context free language. Now here Now, context-free languages are not closed under intersection with regular language and the complement. These three are not closed. These are not the closure properties of the context-free language. First one is the intersection. If L1 and L2 are the context-free languages, then L1 and L1 intersection L2 is not necessarily context free. See here L1 and L2 both are the context free language. L1 and L2 both are the context free languages, but L1 intersection L2 is not a context free language. Next one is the intersection with regular language. Here, if L1 is a regular language and L2 is a context free language, then L1 intersection L2 is a context free language. L1 here, it is not closed under this intersection with regular language. Next one is the complement. L1 is a context free language, then L1 dash may be context free, maybe it is a context free. So these three are not closed under intersection with regular language and the complement. These three are the closure properties of the CFL. Now here, next topic is pumping lemma for CFL. Already you studied pumping lemma for regular language. Here in this case, now you are going to study this one, pumping lemma for context free language. Here pumping lemma means let L be a CFL, then there exists a constant n such that here we are going to define one string, that is Z. Z is a string L in such that always Z is at least n characters. Z must be at least n characters, where we are going to define Z equals to UVWXY subject to the following condition. Here already in regular grammar also you study all those things, right? Here just only here in that particular pumping lemma, that particular grammar should be the regular language. Here this particular language should be the context free language. See here, mod VWX always less than or equals to n. Mod VWX is always less than or equals to n. That is the middle portion is not too long. Middle portion must not be too long is there. Vx is not equals to epsilon. Vx is not equals to epsilon. Why? Because V and X are the pieces of to be pumped. This condition says that at least one of the strings we pump must not be empty. Here in pumping lemma, we are pumping the string V comma X symbols are going, V and X are going to be pumping into that string W. Then V and X not equals to the null. And third condition is for all I greater than or equals to 0, U V power I. See here, we are pumping the value of V, then W, then we are pumping the value of X, then Y is in L. Whenever we are pumping this V and X, the generated string must be present in L only. Then only that particular grammar then only that is the pumping lemma for that particular language. That is two strings V comma X may be pumped in number of times, resulting string must be a limited number of this one. See here, then prove the pumping lemma based on another theorem whose statement is as follows. Suppose here we are having the paths T to a CNF CG equals to VTPS, and they suppose that yield to the tree a terminal string the W if the length of the string is long as the path n, then exist mod W less than or equals to 2 power n minus 1. Here generally we don't have, you are not going to get any proofs in the examination. No need to study this one, just you have to remember this, these statements, right? Pumping lemma statement is there, you may get for 2 marks, either 4 marks for this one, right? Pumping lemma, here you have to remember these three conditions, mod VWX less than or equals to n. Every time we are going to pumping the value of V and value of X, both are not equals to epsilon. For all I greater than or equals to 0, U V power I, W X power I, Y is must be in L. Whenever we are going to pumping any value into that particular language, that particular language must be present in L, right? With this, here in next class I am going to discuss about what are the decision properties of the context free languages. Then only we are having remaining only one topic will be left, that is the, see here, only one topic is going to be left in the third unit, that is the normal forms of the for the context free languages. Here this is very important, normal forms for the context free grammar and the applications of the context free grammar we will discuss in the next class, right? Thank you.